protested Udo indignantly.
As a matter of fact, I was just telling her about that dragon I killed in Araby last year.
Ah, and who would listen to a hopeless story like that, but the woman one was going to marry?
Once more, I am not going to marry her.
Well, you must please yourself. But you have compromised her severely with that story. Poor innocent girl. Well, let's forget about it. And now tell me, how do you like Euralia?
I am returning to Araby this afternoon,
said Udo stiffly.
Well, perhaps you're right. I hope that nothing will happen to you on the way.
Udo, who was about to enter the palace, turned round with a startled look.
What do you mean?
Well, something happened on the way here. By the by, how did that happen? You never told me.
Your precious countess, whom you expect me to marry.
How very unkind of her. A nasty person to annoy.
He was silent for a moment, and then added thoughtfully,
I suppose it is rather annoying to think you're going to marry somebody whom you love very much, and then find you're not going to.
Udo evidently hadn't thought of this. He tried to show that he was not in the least frightened.
She couldn't do anything. It was only by a lucky chance she did it last time.
Yes, but of course the chance might come again. You'd have the thing hanging over you always. She's clever, you know. And I should never feel quite safe if she were my enemy. Lovely flowers, aren't they? What's the name of this one?
Udo dropped undecidedly into a seat. This wanted thinking out. The Countess. What was wrong with her, after all? And she evidently adored him. Of course that was not surprising. The question was it fair to disappoint one who had, perhaps, some little grounds for... After all, he had been no more gallant than was customary from a prince and a gentleman to a beautiful woman. It was her own fault if she had mistaken his intentions. Of course he ought to have left Euralia long ago, but he had stayed on, and, well, decidedly she was beautiful. Perhaps he had paid rather too much attention to that, and he had certainly neglected the princess a little. After all, again, why not marry the Countess? It was absurd to suppose there was anything in Coronel's nonsense, but one never knew. Not that he was marrying her out of fear. No, certainly not. It was simply a chivalrous whim on his part. The poor woman had misunderstood him, and she should not be disappointed.
She seems fond of flowers,
said Coronel.
You ought to make the palace garden look beautiful between you.
Now understand clearly, Coronel, I'm not in the least frightened by the Countess.
My dear Udo, what a speech for a lover. Of course you're not. After all, what you bore with such patience and dignity once, you can bear again.
That subject is distasteful to me. I must ask you not to refer to it. If I marry the Countess...
You'll be a very lucky man,
put in Coronel.
I happen to know that the King of Euralia... However, she's chosen you, it seems. Personally, I can't make out what she sees in you. What is it?
I should have thought it was quite obvious,
said Udo with dignity.
Well, Coronel, I think perhaps you are right, and that it's my duty to marry her.
Coronel shook him solemnly by the hand.
I congratulate your Royal Highness. I will announce your decision to the princess. She will be much delighted.
And he turned into the palace. Pity him, you lovers. He had not seen Hyacinth for nearly 10 minutes. End of chapter 19.